Two millenniums ago, there was a war between the mighty TripleJump hosts, but somebody from the underworld woke up to justice and sorry, just proofreading my Devil May Cry fanfiction. I'll just put this aside for now and, since we're on the topic, why don't we take a closer look at Capcom's stylish series? With the success of Resident Evil's recent remakes, hope remains high for this beloved demon-hunting saga to continue long into the future. The bygone years have been graced by iconic looks, controversial redesigns, intricate lore, new mechanics, and most importantly, arguments fueled by hellfire regarding the importance of Dante's white hair. But there's so much more to this series than demons skulking in the dark shadows and fandom debates. So let's take a peek through the Hell Gate to see what secrets we can unearth, shall we? I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 things you didn't know about Devil May Cry. Number 10. It all began as Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4. It's heralded as the crown jewel of the Resi franchise by many, firmly combining a bit of Capcom's camp humour with a number of its cherished survival horror mechanics, all glossed with a degree of action we didn't know we needed from the series. But we wouldn't have had our Resi 4 if it wasn't for Devil May Cry 1. Looking back at the first installment in the Gothic series, you may notice some familiar aesthetic choices, location designs, enemy styles, infuriating camera angles, and even the level structure. And that's because Devil May Cry 1 began life as a Resi installment. Initially, the plan was to create a more stylish and action-based Resident Evil title, but it ended up being too thematically different from the survival horror series, so it became its own entity and then diverged thematically as the DMC series progressed. Consequently, Hideki Kamiya continued to work on Devil May Cry while Shinji Mikami focused on Resident Evil 4, thereby simultaneously providing two of the most iconic titles in Capcom's roster. Number 9. Dante's original name was Tony. Dante, Nero, Virgil, Spada, iconic strong names that hold almost as much gravitas as Ben and Peter. This series has become known for its dramatic narrative and gothic themes, often using religious and sacrilegious references to develop a world inhabited by badass heroes, stylish villains, and hellish creatures. The name Tony, though, doesn't quite inspire the same degree of awe as Dante or Virgil. Plus, I'm almost certain there were no blokes called Tony chilling in any of the circles of hell in the Divine Comedy. During its time as the early stages of Resi 4 though, this title was supposed to follow a character called Tony Redgrave, an invincible man with a mysterious genetic makeup that allowed him to accomplish superhuman feats. Invincibility aside, that still kind of sounds like Leon Kennedy, to be honest. That guy can do anything and look fantastic while he's doing it too. Still, Tony didn't quite end up on the cutting room floor, or at least not permanently, as this less impactful moniker in my life was adopted by Dante as an alias in the DMC series, and also remains etched on ebony and ivory, his famous handguns. Number 8. The juggling mechanic was a glitch. The hack-and-slash genre was forever changed by Dante's theatrical combat skills. The games refer to stylish combat as unbroken combinations of varied techniques, often with Dante switching between 4 main styles: Trickster, Swordmaster, Gunslinger, and Royal Guard. The main reason for this blend is that Capcom wanted something faster-paced than its previous Resi titles, aiming for action-packed gameplay that demanded quick reflexes and flashy combos. Dante's smooth, effortless, and confident nature is reflected in his ability to eliminate hordes of enemies with ease, often chaining acrobatic flourishes with impossible dexterity and mastery over a sword that wouldn't look out of place in a Final Fantasy game. But his iconic juggling mechanic wasn't actually intentional, well, not at first anyway. It in fact began as a glitch in Onimusha Warlords that caused enemies to launch skyward after certain attacks. Though this was fixed in the case of Onimusha, the team realised how awesome the juggling mechanic actually was. It fit perfectly with the stylised action approach of DMC, and offered a new combat mechanic for Dante, the beloved Trickster mode. This series, it seems, owes quite a lot to the mistakes and changes of direction encountered in the development of other games in Capcom's library, all combining to leave DMC with innovative mechanics and surprising stylistic choices. From the ashes of disaster, grow the roses of success. Number 7. Secret Chapter Numbers. Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening, or just Devil May Cry 3 in Japan if you want to get serious about this, provided some much desired lore for eager fans, exploring the dysfunctional relationship between Dante and Virgil. Naturally, being a prequel, it aims to divulge more history than the previous titles, and it succeeded in garnering much more love for the warring brothers. DMC3 is known for lifting the veil on many secrets and questions, but it also includes a charming range of Easter eggs during every chapter's starting cutscene. If you look closely, every scene refers to its own chapter number in some way, spanning from simple text on a pizza box to engravings on bullets that are almost impossible to spot on your first playthrough. It's fun, it's cool, it's exactly what Devil May Cry aims to evoke. This installment contains a few heart-wrenching and dramatic scenes, most famously the one where the twins fight each other in the rain, but this playful Easter egg helps to maintain the stylish and badass ambience that the series is known for. So, if your vision is as sharp as Rebellion or you're as eagle-eyed as Griffin, fire up DMC again for some gothic demonic Where's Wally action. Number 6. Inspiration from Catholicism. Troubled development cycle aside, DMC4 brought some new blood into the series, mainly in the form of Dante cosplayer NERO. Although Devil May Cry has often incorporated demon lords, curses, and monstrous creatures, this chapter takes a look at the impact of such beings on impressionable humans. The narrative focuses on the corrupt Order of the Sword, a religious organization that believes Sparda will lead them in the eradication of all demons in his name. However, when designing this group, Capcom took inspiration from Catholic architecture and nomenclature, not only reflecting the grandeur in their design of textiles, iconography, and structure, but specifically in the names of the main characters. Kyrie, Gloria, Credo, Sanctus, and Agnus all derive their names from the ordinary Mass in Catholic worship. This reflects the religious sensibilities of the order, yet also adds to the blasphemous nature of the group, while immediately segregating Nero from the core fundamentals of his adoptive family. We know Devil May Cry likes to play with gothic symbolism and design, but adding in concepts from religious worship provided a greater depth to this world, one which had not really been seen until this point in the series. Number 5. Nero was going to be like Sherlock Holmes. It's fair to say Nero's design was tumultuous. His development, or should I say development, was overshadowed by the fans' love for Dante. In fact, the use of this new protagonist was not approved until producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi demanded that Dante would also be included as a playable character. The studio feared, quite rightfully, a similar type of negative feedback to that of Konami's Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, wherein Solid Snake was replaced by Raiden. So clearly, Nero had to be as cool as Dante if he was going to be appearing alongside him. However, the original concept saw him as a Sherlock Holmes type character, even sipping tea as he fought demons. In the original Nero concept art, he is suited and booted, looking super sharp and formal, almost aristocratic. And in fact, his temperament was going to be a lot more intellectual and refined, and less of the fiery youth he turned out to be. There was a lot of back and forth during the development of this title, which is reflected in the somewhat debatable choice to include every level twice, once for Nero and once for Dante. Capcom didn't want to alienate original fans of the series, but also wanted to bring something new, so they eventually ended up using concepts from both Dante and Virgil to create a new protagonist that still felt true to the DMC series. Number 4. The Fedora. We're now going to talk about the reboot Devil May Cry, in particular the definitive edition. Alright, settle down. Please just lower your rebellion replicas. We know, it's not canon, but let's face it, although this offering didn't really stick the landing, it did provide capable gameplay and a decent soundtrack. More importantly though, it provided, how do you say, memes, and that's what we're here to talk about. Oh, Virgil, what did Ninja Theory do to you? The enigmatic, skillful, and painfully flawed Virgil that we all know and love was replaced with a trench coat, katana, and fedora. The full nice guy hat trick. Swap any of his most iconic lines with "Milady," and you probably get the idea. Together with the inclusion of his controversial 360 no-scope demon abortion scene, Virgil had become an embarrassment to everyone. But apparently this vitriol from fans imbued such a sense of shame in Ninja Theory that they tried to sloppily backtrack on their rubbish design. It may have escaped your notice if you only played the original build of this game, but the developers actually stealthily removed a few of the more embarrassing aspects of the DMC reboot for the definitive edition, opting not to mention them in the extensive changelogs. Most hilarious was the choice to silently remove the fedora, as though they'd never given him one in the first place. We just wish we could remove the entire reboot from our minds as easily as they removed that damn hat. Number 3. Ninja Theory compared Dante to a gay cowboy. Tasked with taking DMC in a new artistic direction, Ninja Theory really had their work cut out for them, but they pushed forward with bold, albeit disappointing, ideas for both the DMC world and its characters. The infamous redesign of Dante was fully explained during the 2013 GDC session with visual art director and Peter Austin namesake Alessandro Taini, wherein he discussed the new settings, music, and characters, and didn't disclose how tall he was. He explains how the new design was based on Tyler Durden from the movie Fight Club, this being a more westernized version of coolness in the eyes of the developers. Let's just skip the fact that Tyler Durden is technically a terrorist, shall we? However, to really hammer home the fact that they believed the original Dante to be completely uncool or uninspiring compared to the new one, Taini included a special slide in his presentation. He photoshopped the original Dante into a still from Brokeback Mountain to apparently emphasize how lame this version really was. Many members of the DMC community, and I'm sure the LGBT community as well, found this unwarranted comparison both cringy and thoughtless on so many levels, and I think we can all at least agree that DMC's stylish, fun, unashamed campness was what made the series truly lovable in the first place. Seemingly in defiance of Ninja Theory's beliefs, however, Dante has a totally unironic weapon in DMC 5, which is essentially a Stetson that fires crystallized demon blood as bullets. So hey, he's fine with being a cowboy, apparently. Get over yourself, Taini. Number 2, the anime is canon. Devil May Cry the animated series debuted in Japan in 2007 and follows Dante's adventures somewhere between the first and second games. The episodes were mostly self-contained, featuring characters both new and old. Series favourites Trish and Lady were present to kick ass, but we were also introduced to new characters Patty and Morrison. Through Dante's relationship with Patty, we can see him soften a little and go through a fatherly or older brother character arc, and Morrison serves as a guiding force to motivate Dante to stop eating pizza, get off the sofa and slay some damn demons. Do what you're good at. Well, I guess he's good at eating pizza on the sofa as well, to be fair. It's light and fun, nothing too heavy or lore-rich, just a nice little addition to the franchise. And so it's unsurprising that many fans assumed that the anime wasn't necessarily part of DMC's wider continuity. But lo and behold, listening carefully to the telephone calls in DMC 5, we learn that the anime series is actually canon to the games. This moment was probably lost on the non-anime fans, but there it is. We may see Morrison early on in the adventure, but keen fans of the show recognise the reference to Patty at the end of the game, leading to speculation of how these characters may be included in future installments. And number 1, the origins of V's demons. In comparison to Nero, Virgil, and Dante, V is a far cry from the traditional DMC playable character. Apart from during his finishing techniques, he doesn't like to get his hands dirty by fighting up close and personal like the other lads. He keeps a bit of social distance, very considerate in the current climate. He much prefers to prowl around from afar with his nose in a book, using shadow demons to slaughter any enemy that dares to interrupt his reading time. But if you've only played recent DMC games, you may not notice that V's demons echo those encountered in DMC 1. They are actually manifestations of Virgil's trauma from his time spent as Nelo Angelo in the first game. During DMC 1, Dante faces Griffin, Shadow, and Nightmare in their original incarnations, but little did fans know at the time that these beasts were far more intrinsic to Virgil's torment. Of course, if the name didn't give it away, these familiars hint that V is in fact Virgil before the actual reveal at the end of DMC 5, but it's still a nice nod to the first game. And that's our list, but are there any other smoking, sexy, or stylish secrets in the DMC series that we missed out? What are your hopes for the future of this franchise? Share your sensational thoughts in the comments section below. You can follow myself and TripleJump on Twitter here, and if you want to support the things you enjoy, then check out the rewards on our Patreon. Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I've been Peter from TripleJump, from my bedroom with a toaster mic because of coronavirus. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.